All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to our first webinar of the year here. We're excited to kick off some more great webinars and share some advice and some tips and tricks with everybody here. We've got a lot of great Shopify POS, Shopify online webinars coming. Like I said, this is the first one of the year, so we're excited to get things kicked off. Let's start real quick by giving you a quick little background on who we are. So we are Sunrise Integration. We've been around for 20 plus years. We are a Shopify Plus and a Shopify point of sale expert. We do lots of integrations, custom work, custom design, a lot of experience on the Shopify POS side of things. Let's talk about what we're going to be going over in today's webinar. These are questions that we get asked a lot, and we're excited to be able to host this live meeting so everybody can ask questions and we can share some topics about each of these. So this webinar is going to be all about order and order management on the point of sale and how you can do the point of sale management along with the online management. So we're going to talk about orders, show you what the order screen looks like. Then we're going to talk about buy online, pick up in store. This is another very popular discussion topic. We're going to talk about how you can use and create draft orders on the point of sale and send those as quotes. So basically create a draft order and then send it to somebody. And then we'll kind of end up talking about doing some returns and exchanges. Along the way, of course, we always like to keep it as interactive as possible. And so this is the perfect time for me to introduce Patrick here, who's going to be helping us out with some stuff. Patrick is our Director of Business Development. I'll give him an opportunity to chime in and say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. As Dean said, Director of Business Development here at Sunrise Integration. I will be manning the chat and providing whatever insight I can on the different topics. But yeah, thanks again for joining.
And if you have any questions or, along the way, feel free to put it in the chat. Patrick's going to be taking a look at it, and we're definitely it's really trying to be very interactive. So we'll pause along the way. We'll try to address topics. We'll try to show things in real time, so that way everybody can see what's happening. Okay, so before we jump into the actual webinar, I'd like to have an opportunity here to kind of throw it back over to Patrick and talk a little bit about this the topic today, which is kind of order management, retail, point of sale. So Patrick, from kind of a real world perspective, if you would, what are you seeing out there? What are you seeing from merchants? What types of things are they looking for? What questions are they having around kind of POS and order management?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off just by saying that the topics on the agenda today really are to shed light on the nuance of the benefit of having a really unified system between online and in-store. Certainly, some of these different workflows and experiences are possible on different systems with different integrations, but frequently there's a ton of friction, there's manual entry, there's room for error, and just it's not as simple to set up. But really what we're talking about is customer service at the end of the day. Are you able to handle returns and exchanges in store from purchases made online? Are you able to like issue a draft order in store, say like you're a furniture retailer and you're selling a couch and a whole living room set, and you want to offer a special price to a customer in store, but they need to go home and make sure the measurements make sense and speak with their wife or whoever else is involved, and they want to be able to purchase that same set at that same price and make sure that those products are reserved and that inventory is reserved for them. So all these different kind of in-store experiences that mesh with the online side of things is really what customers are looking for, and what those customers are expecting nowadays when it comes to the shopping experience.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding that from Shopify's point of sale, right? Obviously, we're talking about Shopify point of sale right now. Are you finding customers are pretty happy with the point of sale and how they can accomplish everything that you're talking about, like with the kind of native features? Or what kind of feedback are you getting in terms of Shopify's capabilities to handle everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say very, very positive, right? Because most of this functionality that can take custom development integrations with different systems is now possible just out of the box with Shopify's native functionality, because Shopify point of sale ties directly into the online store, as well as how Shopify is handling inventory, not just for online, but across all of the physical locations. So there's just so much that's possible natively, that it's just getting really good reviews. And yeah, I guess that's probably the short version of the answer there.
Great, cool. Yeah, well, that's awesome feedback, awesome perspective. I know everybody here really wants to kind of see things in action. So, Patrick, we'll definitely kind of come back to you and get some more insight. But why don't we just dive right into it? I know everybody's excited to see a live demo and see things in action. So, let's just get things started. So the first thing we're going to be going over and talking about is order management, right? So one really cool thing about the point of sale is that it's connected as part of Shopify's, what they call their unified commerce ecosystem. So what that means is you're going to have orders in the online store, and then you're going to have orders in your retail store. And through the point of sale and through the administration of the Shopify admin, you can manage, you can see, you can view everything together. And that's a very, very powerful system to be able to kind of see everything in one place. So what does that look like? How do you handle that? Let's pop into the point of sale itself and take a look at that. So what you're seeing now is the Shopify's main point of sale screen on the tablet here. In terms of a basic layout, for those of you who aren't super familiar with a point of sale, you've got a bunch of tiles on the left-hand side that's called the smart grid. On the right-hand side is your shopping cart, and then across the bottom here, you've got the main buttons and the main actions sections that you can go into. For this particular topic, we're going to go into the second link here at the bottom, which says orders. And so if at any time during the day, if you're running a retail store and you've got the Shopify POS set up and you want to say, hey, let me look at my orders, I want to manage my orders, you can click on this link here that's at the bottom of the screen. So by clicking into that, you're going into the core order management section of the point of sale itself. And you can see a bunch of different orders, a bunch of different types of orders by selecting what you want to see from the left-hand side. So if we look at the left-hand side under where it says orders, you see it says all orders, drafts, shipping, and pickup. So basically you can see all the orders that are in your system. You can see the draft orders, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You can see any kind of shipping or pickup orders as well, all by selecting something here from the left-hand side. We'll go into some of these other ones in more depth in just a minute. From the all orders, if you look on the right-hand side here, any order that you have in your system here, you can view by scrolling up and down here on the right-hand side. And then you can see if the order numbers are large and bold. And then by clicking on one of those, it will bring up a screen, and then you can see the actual details of the order itself. I mentioned earlier about this being kind of a unified solution. So you'll notice in this blue section here, where it says sale type point of sale, you can actually click onto this, and you can not only see your point of sale orders, but you could actually switch the configuration and look at your online orders. So like we said, this kind of a unified commerce type of solution, you can say, hey, did somebody maybe comes into the store and says, well, I bought something online. You can say, well, let me check it out. You can just switch this to online, and now you can scroll and see any orders that come in the online. Or of course, you can switch back and see just the orders that came in through the point of sale itself. So that's really very helpful, because oftentimes it happens quite often where somebody comes into the store and says, I think I bought it online, and now you can verify that and validate that. So that's a very, very handy thing to do in terms of managing your orders. One other really cool thing, again, talking about this unified commerce solution. So you'll see that not only in these blue sections here can I choose point of sale, but you'll notice on the right-hand side, if I click this other drop down, it actually lets me choose other locations. So if you're running a multi-location store, or maybe you've got different stores in different areas, you can actually look and see the orders for the different locations that you have, not just the location that you're in. So for this particular demo, we're in our San Jose shop, but let's say I wanted to switch and see the Los Angeles store. So when I switch to that, you'll notice everything changes here, and I can now manage and I can view the orders from that particular location. Now, of course, there's permissions and controls, because you might not want to give this power to everybody. So maybe like a store manager or something like that, so only certain individuals have the ability to view that. But this is a really, really powerful solution. So you're not just necessarily limited to seeing orders from one location. You can actually see it from a lot of different locations. So I'm going to switch back over here to the San Jose location. And then again, on the left-hand side here, right where it says all orders, we can then switch to a different types of orders by clicking. So let's say I wanted to see the draft orders that are in my system. I can simply click on that on the left-hand side. I can see any draft orders that I have. I can click down and also see any orders that need shipping. And when we get into the pickup, we'll explain this a little bit more in depth, but you can basically see your shipping and your pickup orders, all that need to be packed and then need to be shipped out from clicking it here on the left-hand side. So from a first step, this is where you can see and manage all of the orders that come into the system. And it works in real time. So as new orders gets placed, they pop into this section in real time. So let's go ahead and make a fake order real quick so you guys can just see how that works. So I'm going to order something here from our really cool Sunrise integration store. So let's say I want to buy this really cool hat. So I'm going to add this to my cart. I'm going to go to my cart. I'm creating a new order here. With orders, when you create an order, you can attach a customer, or if it's a regular POS order and there's no customer, you can just check out. So for purposes to make this kind of quick, I'm just going to check out. I'm going to put in a manual entry here for my card. I'm going to use a fake test card here since we're doing a demo here. This, of course, is a fake card, so just so I can get the order going. And I'm going to charge that order. I'm going to process that payment. And so now the order that was just placed, you can see I've got the order here. It shows you the summary of this particular order. I'm going to click done. And now I can immediately at any point in time go down to that bottom link that I showed you earlier, click on it, and now you can see that order that was just placed shows up right there on top. So you can immediately see and you can immediately manage that order. You can click on the order and see the specific details of it right here. So really quick, really easy, manage everything from one location and see it all in one place. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side here, there's things for sending receipts and returns and exchanges. We'll definitely go over that here in just a bit. But what I really wanted to show is that all of your orders and everything can be managed all from one location right there and from the middle of the screen. Okay, so we've got this great order management area. You can see everything from one place. What is the advantage of that, right? So let's talk about some reasons why that's handy. And one reason where this becomes extremely handy is in a very popular segment, which is buy online and pick up in store, sometimes called BOPIS. And what this does is it allows people to shop at home, right? They can be at home, they can open up their laptop, open up their computer, go to your Shopify store, order something, and then have the option of saying, oh, you know what? I actually want to go pick it up at one of the retail locations. And so again, because everything is unified, because everything is connected, that order can then be sent over to the retail store. So let's take a look at that now. Let's take a look at how we can create an order and then how we see it in the point of sale itself. So I'm now going to jump over to my Shopify screen. So this is the Shopify administration section. For those of you that use Shopify, this probably looks pretty familiar. But what I'm going to do here is say that we need to first turn on the pickup services. So in order to use the BOPIS, the buy online, pickup in store, you need to make sure that you're designating, this is the first step that you need to do, is designate that you want to be able to sell from certain stores, from your locations. And the way this is handled is by scrolling down and going to the settings in your Shopify admin. So if you want to sell, if you want to do the BOPIS, if you want to do the pickup online, this is the first thing you're definitely going to need to check. So when you go into your settings, you're going to see that there's a shipping and delivery area here on the left. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to scroll down for a little bit here. And you'll see, oops, I think I passed it. You'll see that there's an area here called Pickup in Store. And so by clicking in this area here that says 4 locations, you're going to click on it, and then you can independently turn on and off any of your stores to show that that items can be picked up from that store. Now it's going to automatically load in all of the locations that you've got in your system. So any location that you've created shows up in this list, and then you can independently turn them on and off. So for example, in this scenario, you see I've got a store in LA, New York, Pasadena, San Jose. So we can say, you know what, the San Jose store offers pickup. Like you can see here, I've got it in green. But maybe we decide that, you know what, the New York store, maybe we don't really handle things on the East Coast, let's say. So I can turn that off and say, turn off in-store pickup. And now you'll see that these locations say that they do not offer pickup. So this is going to be important for you to manage which stores will be shown for pickup and which stores won't be shown for pickup. So this is really the first step. You want to make sure that you signal to people in the online store that they can pick up from that location. So if I click into this store, so for this demo, we're going to pretend that we're in the San Jose store. You can signal a couple things to the customer on the front end. So for example, when they place an order, you can say, how soon is the order going to be ready? So can you fulfill it in 24 hours? Can you fulfill it in 4 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever you want to do for your store? You create this setting here. And then you have the option to say, well, you know what happens if there's maybe no inventory at your current store? Could you transfer inventory from another location? So this is the option here. So maybe I can say, well, the San Jose store doesn't have it, but we can transfer it from one of these other closer stores. In this case, these stores are probably a little bit far away, so it's probably not the best solution. But if you had stores that are close proximity-wise, this is a great way to be able to handle if you're potentially out of stock. And then the last setting you want to check out here is just a little bit of a message. So when somebody says, ooh, I want to pick it up, they're going to get a little bit of a confirmation note. And if you want to customize that note, you'll put that inside of here. So this is really the first step in saying, okay, I want to allow in-store pickup for all of my respective locations. And so once that happens, the first thing that's going to happen next is someone's going to come into your store and they're going to want to purchase something and go pick it up in the store. So let's look at that experience. So I'm now going to switch over to our really cool Shopify Sunrise store here that we've got. So let's pretend I'm just a regular customer. I've come to the site and I want to buy something, but I want to pick it up. I don't want to wait for shipping. I'm excited to get some cool Sunrise integration merchandise and I want it right away. So let's say I'm shopping here and I go, hey, this is a really cool polo shirt. I'm going to order 2 of those. I'm going to add it to my cart. And when I do, and I go to checkout, because I've turned on the ability to say things can be picked up in store, you'll see that in the checkout area here, in addition to doing shipping, you'll see there's an option here now that says pick up in store. And so I can click on this pick up in store option that's available. And now all of the locations that I've said are available will show up in this list here. And so this allows you to say, okay, what stores are available for me? And it does some really cool math as well. So you'll see, for example, that it's saying, well, these are the 2 stores that are close to your location. So based upon the information that you put into the system, it will know whether, well, this store is probably too far or this store is too close. So it does some cool logic. So in addition to just saying, hey, can I pick up in the store? It's showing you which stores are probably the closest to you. So because we're doing the San Jose store, we're going to click into this and we're going to say that we want to pick this up in our San Jose store. So I'm going to complete this order real quick and place the order so you guys can see what it looks like then on the POS side of things. So I'm going to scroll down again and put in my test information because we're doing a fake test order here. Okay, we're going to put in all the information that it wants to have. Okay, so I've got my order placed here. I've confirmed that I want it to be picked up here at the San Jose location, and now I'm going to say pay now. So from a customer's perspective, they just think, hey, I've placed my order, the confirmation goes out, and you'll notice that it says here that you'll receive an email when the order is ready for pickup. So now what has happened is that order that you've created is now being sent to whatever location they've selected. So in this case, if you recall, we've picked the San Jose location. So if I jump back now to my point of sale screen, right, this is the actual tablet. So in the store itself, we've added a tile. And if you look on the smart grid here on kind of on the bottom left-hand side, you'll see a tile called pickup. And this tile now has a little number. You see there's a little badge on there that says the number 1. So it's signaling to the merchant in the store, the staff member in the store, that you have an order that someone has sent for pickup. And so now this kicks off the pickup workflow. So if I'm in the store, I'm going to say, oh, look, there's a pickup order here. So I'm going to click on that tile. It's going to open up a modal, and then you can see that there's kind of 2 tabs here across the top. There's an order that says prepare for pickup, and then there's an order here that says ready for pickup. And so the buy online pickup workflow starts by signaling the store, signaling the staff that there's an order that needs to be picked up. So you'll see here, this 1146 is in the first stage, which is prepare for pickup. So your staff member is going to say, oh, let me click on this order here, and I'm now going to go grab the merchandise. So they're going to say, oh, this person ordered 2 of these polo shirts. I'm going to go grab the merchandise, make sure it's ready to go. And so at this stage of the game, the system is waiting for someone in the store to confirm that the order is ready for pickup. So at the moment, the customer who ordered it, they don't have an email. Nothing yet is signaling to them that their order is ready. But once the staff member has picked something up, you'll see that there's a link here that says mark as pickup here on the right-hand side of the screen. So by clicking on mark as pickup, you're signaling that I, as a staff member from the location, I've gathered all the materials, I've put them together, I've prepared them, I put them somewhere in the store, and now it's ready. We can signal to the customer that they can come pick up that order. And so all one needs to do then is click here where it says mark as pickup. And then the confirmation is going to say, are you sure that you want to mark it? And what this is going to do is now send an email to the customer saying, hey, your order's ready. So this is really that first step in the process to let the customer know that they can come pick up their order. And so we're going to say, oops, actually I did the wrong thing here. I apologize. We're going to say prepare for pickup. I apologize. I clicked on the wrong thing here. So we're preparing this order for pickup. And so right now, the first step that I'm doing says, hey, have you prepared all the items? Are they ready to go? And you say, yes, they are. And then here is what I meant to do, where it says send pickup notification. So when you click send pickup notification, it's going to confirm. It's going to say yes. And now it sends that email out to the customer, letting them know that it's ready for pickup. And you'll see that there's a little badge there that says ready for pickup. And so now if I close this out and I go back to the tile here on the POS screen, you'll see that it no longer has that little badge on it that was saying, hey, there's an order that's waiting to be picked up. You'll see that that's not there. And so by clicking here, you'll see that there's nothing waiting to be prepared. But if I click on this tab, there is an order here that's saying it's ready for pickup. And so now you're waiting for the customer to come into the store and to actually pick up the order. And then at this stage, this is where I made a mistake previously, this is where you would say, when the person shows up, then you as the staff member is going to say, confirm that they did in fact pick up the order. And then you're going to click mark as pickup, and that gets marked. So it's really a process. There's kind of a lot of steps, in that process to go through, but it's really a way to formalize the steps and ensure that pickup and then having somebody signal to the staff member that it's there, that everything is available. And then by clicking in the orders section, again, you can see the information about that order right from within the order management area. So I know that was kind of a lot of things here. I think now is probably a good time for us to pause for a second and see if there's any questions around that process or any kind of clarifications. There's a lot of steps there, but I wanted to show it first and see if anybody has any questions about that. So Patrick, how are we looking?
Well, there was one question that did come up, but I believe you addressed it. So SYLM had asked, can you turn on notifications to alert the team when a pickup order is placed? So I don't know if there's any other functionality around alerts there. But otherwise, I have one question for you, but I'll let you speak to that other one first.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, why don't we address that one? Because there's actually a couple things that you can do. So I'm going to pop back over to the POS screen. So you remember from a second ago that when that pickup order was placed, that tile there at the bottom left where it said pickup, you'll notice that a little number popped up, like a little badge. So if you had 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever the number might be, that will show up there. If you want to have an additional level of notification, you do have the ability to go into the settings, and that's in the bottom right-hand corner of your POS where it says more. You can click into this more area here, and then on the left-hand side, you can click where it says settings. So you'll see here you've got all these different choices. You want to go into the settings, and then you want to look here on the top where it says notifications. And at the moment, I've got this notification off. But if I was to click and say, hey, allow notifications, what this will do is this will allow a pop-up. And for those of you who've used, like an iPad or an iPhone, you'll get an additional notification that will show up. So because it's quite possible, maybe you're doing something or you're on one of these other screens, right? If you're on one of these other screens, you might not see this badge, this tile here. But if you have the notifications turned on in the settings, regardless of which of these screens that you're in, you'll have a little pop-up notification that'll show up on the screen that will alert you when these pickup orders come in. And that's controlled by using this notification slider right here. So that's an additional level. So I would definitely suggest that anybody who is doing the pickup, turning on both of those notifications so that way you're sure that you don't miss anything. Patrick, so
Awesome.
You said you had another question?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of a workflow I was interested to see if you could either demo or speak to. So I guess using the polo shirt example, if I find myself between an XL and a double XL, but I know I'm going to be in the area of the Sunrise store later on today, and I go ahead and take the risk and place an order for the XL with and planning to pick it up in store. How easy is it to exchange that for the double XL? Say I get to the store and try it on and it doesn't fit as expected. Can you kind of talk us through the interplay between BOPIS and then doing like in-store exchanges on those orders?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great question. It's actually coming up here. I think we're going to be addressing that in just a bit. So why don't I maybe
Okay.
hold there? Because that's definitely a great question. Everybody asks about returns and exchanges. It's extremely important, and we have a whole section for that. So why don't we jump back to that question in just a bit when we get to the
Perfect.
exchange section? Anything else about the BOPIS stuff before we move on?
No other questions in chat.
Okay, cool. So let's move on then and talk about draft orders. So this is definitely something that comes up a lot. So, we've shown you how you manage orders. We've shown you how you can create orders. But oftentimes what happens is somebody comes into a store and says, well, can you put an order together for me? But I'm not sure if I want it right away. Maybe they're saying like, hey, well, can you send me this as a quote or like an invoice to pay later or something like that. And so there's a great system inside of the POS for creating draft orders to support and manage this. And this is something that a lot of businesses use as kind of like a quote system, right? To generate a quote for somebody and then email it to them. So let's talk about doing that and what that looks like. So if we pop back over to the point of sale, let's create an order, right? Let's create a shopping cart. And let's say that this person maybe isn't ready to buy right now, but they want to save it for later or they want us to send it to them. So we're going to create a draft order out of that. So what we're going to do here is create a cart. So let's say maybe this person wants to load up on a bunch of cool Sunrise merchandise. They're going to get one of everything. So we're going to create this system for them. They're going to create one of everything. And so now I've got this shopping cart that has been created with one of everything in the shopping cart. And so the customer is going to say, well, how much is it? Well, look, it's like $67 or so for all this merchandise. And maybe they're going to say, I'm not sure. Can we maybe save this for later? Can I come back later? Can you maybe send it to me? Right? There's a bunch of reasons why. And you can say, yeah, that's absolutely something that we can do. And so you'll want to, more than likely what you'll want to do is you'll want to say, okay, well, why don't we get your customer information? I'll attach it to the order and then I'll save it as a draft. So once the order is created, you'll see here at the very top on the right-hand side, it says Add Customer. And so by clicking on this Add Customer, this is where you can either enter the information for a brand new customer. So if this was a customer who's new to the store, you can put their information in here, or you can search for a new customer. So maybe this is an existing customer who says, oh yeah, I come to your store all the time. And we can search, we can say, oh yeah, there you are, Joe user. Sure, that sounds great. And I can select that customer and attach them to the order. So again, you can either find existing customers or you can attach a new customer. But once you've attached a customer to the order and you kind of know who it is, you'll see that there's a tile on the left-hand side there called Save as Draft Order. And so what that will do is that'll take all the information that's in the cart, the customer, the units, everything that they've purchased, and it'll save it as a draft order. And so I'm going to click that tile, and you'll notice that all of a sudden, everything kind of disappears, and it says draft order has been saved. So now you've got this draft order that's in the system. And if you remember from earlier, we said, well, how do I manage my orders? How do I see all my orders? Well, if we go back down to the bottom here where it says orders, we can click on that. And you remember, we can see all of our draft orders by clicking on the left-hand side here. And now you can see that any draft order that has been created in the POS shows up. And so you can see my Joe user, polo shirt, integration shirt, hoodie, all that great stuff. That draft order now shows up here inside of the POS. And I can click on that order and I can see the details for that particular draft order. So at the moment, this draft order is in the system, it's waiting, nothing has happened to it yet. And now you can do a couple things with it. So maybe the customer says, well, can you send it to me? Well, sure. So you'll see here, there's a link to be able to email that to the customer. So if I was to click this link, it would take the information that I already have on the account here. You can see I've got the email address. It would send them an email with a link to be able to purchase online. So now it's going to automatically create a checkout for them, and they can say, great, click the email, and whenever you're ready, feel free to check out online. So that's a great way to be able to send something to somebody so they could check out online. You'll also notice that above it, there's another one called Load to Cart. So let's say maybe that this customer came in, a couple days ago, and now they're coming back and they're saying, hey, you know what? I kind of created a draft order. I saved it with you guys, and I want to buy it now. You can say, hey, that's no problem. I'm going to find the draft order in the system, and I'm going to click this Load to Cart, and you'll see that it's going to take that order and it's going to put it back into the cart and get you ready for checkout. So now you can save the draft order, you can keep it in the system, and then you can load it back up whenever they're ready, and then you can check out at this point in time. You'll also notice that in that tile that we had before, it says update draft order. So let's say, for example, maybe they click in and they say, you know what? I actually want 2 of those shirts. You can actually change the information here, and then you can click update. So somebody comes in the store and says, well, let me maybe change my order. Can you save that and send it to me? Or maybe they've called on the phone. So you don't have to necessarily check out. You can always update the draft order and save that draft order. So I'm going to update this draft order and save it in the system, so I've got it. So again, that draft order is in the system. It's at the POS. The really cool part about all of this, as we've been saying before, is this unified commerce solution. So if I now jump over to Shopify, one very common question people ask is well, can those draft orders that have been created, is this something that you can view in other stores or in the admin section? And the answer is you absolutely can. So by creating a draft order, when I go back to my Shopify administration section, I've got my orders section here. I now have my draft orders here on the left-hand side. And by clicking on that, you'll be able to see all of the draft orders that are in the system. So you'll see here, this Joe user just now created this draft order. So when I click on that, I can see all the information here for that particular draft order here in the online store. So this is a really, really great way to be able to kind of send the information back and forth. And the next obvious question is, well, does it work the other way? If I was to create a draft order here in the admin, could I see it inside of the point of sale? And yeah, the answer, of course, is yes. So, what is the advantage of that, right? Why would one even necessarily want to do that? Well, again, one really common thing is creating this concept of quotes, right? So, let's say somebody walked into your store, they quoted something that they wanted. We save it as a draft order, and we'll say, okay, I've created this quote for you. So, whenever you're ready, kind of let me know. And maybe they call back a couple days later, or they email you a couple days later, and they say, "Hey, there's that quote that we created. Can I change it? Can I amend it? Can you send it to me?" Right. So once you open up this quote here in the admin, there's a lot of great things that you can do with it. Right. We can click into it, make changes to it here if I want to change the items that are on it. One really cool thing though in the quote world is sometimes somebody's going to say, "Okay, well, I think I want these items, but I'm not sure. Can you hold them for me?" So you have the ability to take these draft orders and click on this context menu here and say, "You know what? I want to reserve these items." So by clicking on reserve, it's going to say, "Well, how long?" So you can potentially tell this customer, "Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a week." And so for 1 week, when I say reserve items, it's going to hold on to that inventory. So it's going to take 2 items out of inventory for here, two out of this one and one out of this one, and reserve the inventory for that particular order. So that way you're not going to oversell. You're saying, "I'm reserving this inventory, but only for 1 week." So this is now where those draft orders now become a very useful kind of quoting engine for you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to hold this. And then now you could email this to somebody. You could say, I'm holding these orders for you. And if you're ever on the merchandising side and you're looking at your merchandise and you're saying, "Okay, well, how much, let me save this, how much inventory do I have in stock?" And you want to kind of see how things are looking. If I click into any product and I scroll down into the inventory, you'll see that the inventory for that particular product, you'll see it says unavailable. And you'll see that there's a draft order that's holding on to 2 units. So you can see that reserving it did in fact reserve those 2 units on that particular order. And you could always click back to take a look at that order. So this is a very handy thing to be able to reserve that inventory to make sure you don't oversell. At the same time, you have the ability to lock product pricing. So this basically locks it and says, "Okay, well, whatever price I gave you is what's going to stay on that particular quote." So even if the prices maybe change on the product itself, or you're doing some other kind of inventory, this is a way for you to lock in that pricing to make sure that the pricing doesn't change, even if the pricing and or orders change on your store. So here you go. So now you've got these orders, you've got these draft orders. You can email them to somebody. You can actually take the payment over the phone. For those people who are doing like more kind of B2B orders, you can attach net terms to this. You can create the orders. You can send the invoices to the client. So there's a lot of really, really powerful things that you can do with these draft orders and using them as kind of a quoting engine. So a lot of great features there, but from a high level, you can see the power of being able to create an order, create a draft order, and then putting it back into the system. So Patrick, I'm going to pop back over to you here and see, do we have any questions around the draft system?
We did have one question come in, which I believe you spoke to, asking, can the point of sale draft orders be viewed online and not just on the tablet? So, I mean, maybe just to point out there, certainly from like an administrative perspective, you can access the draft orders in the Shopify admin and at the point of sale, but also for customers, right? They can come back and complete that order in store, or they can then later, complete that purchase online after they viewed that draft order through their email or however they received it. Not sure if there's anything else you'd add there, but it goes both ways, both for the admins and for the customers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great customer service tool, being able to save those orders, send people those orders. It's definitely happening a lot where people want to be able to just, browse a little bit online, make sure it's the right thing, and maybe say, "You know what, send me the order and I'll order it from home later because I'm sure that it's the right size or something," right? Oftentimes, it saves you a step from having to potentially do any kind of returns or exchanges when you kind of try it on first and then you order it later online. Definitely something that is a great customer service tool.
Also, if they're shopping in store and then end up going to the website to complete their order for a draft order that was completed, there's always a chance that they find something else that they're interested in and grow that cart value as well. So all these things really just kind of, there's interplay between these, and ultimately it's to the benefit of merchants and customers alike.
Yeah, exactly. So the last step in all of these processes, and this aligns with the question you asked earlier, Patrick, so let's jump over to that, is returns and exchanges, right? So you've got these orders, people are buying online, they're coming to the store, they're picking up in store, you're creating these draft orders, you're doing all that stuff, but inevitably what's going to happen is somebody's going to want to do some kind of a return or some kind of an exchange. And this is kind of the last topic that we'll be talking about here, but an extremely important one, which is, can people do returns and exchanges from the point of sale? Absolutely. And it's definitely something that's extremely important to be able to do. So I'm going to jump back here to the point of sale screen. And so how does that process work? So let's say that Patrick bought this hoodie and he's like, you know what? I don't know about this hoodie, man. It's too small. I want a bigger size. Like, the holiday weight or something. Trying to shed the holiday weight or something. So
no shame.
No shame. Not at all. No. I'm just saying it happens to us all. So you're going to come into the store and say, I want to, let's start with the return before we do an exchange. Let's just say, you know what? I want to return this shirt. So you can say, sure, no problem. What is the order number? What is it all about? So you can start by doing one of two things. If you don't know the order number, up here on the top, you can click this little magnifying glass icon and you can search. So in this case, our customer name was Joe. So I can type in Joe, and you can see in this second little tab here, I can see all orders that were created by that person. So most of the time, people coming into the store don't remember their order numbers, or they didn't bring their receipt or anything at all like that. But you can at least go, okay, if I've got your name attached to the order, I can try to find that order here in the list. So this is one great way of being able to, trying to find orders if you know the customer's name. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, if you ever want to go to the main management area and kind of dig for the order, maybe they didn't have the order, their name attached to the order, but they're like, I think I bought it yesterday or the day before. You can click in the order section here at the bottom, and then you can start searching. So I'm going to go to all my orders that I went through my POS, and now you can kind of search through the list and try to find any particular order that they did. So in this case, I'm going to go to the second order here and click on it and say, okay, this particular person ordered something here, and they want to return it. Now, one thing to keep in mind that's an important thing to note, which is that in order for something to be returned or exchanged, the product itself has to be shown as being fulfilled. So in this case, I've got kind of a special workflow happening here that says this particular product is not kind of in a fulfilled state. So one thing to keep in mind is most of your POS orders are going to be able to be fulfilled right away, because when somebody buys something in the POS, you're giving it to them right away. But you may have some products, maybe somebody bought it online and maybe it hasn't shipped yet. So that's one place where you're going to have to kind of think about the process, because until somebody receives an item, they're not going to necessarily be able to return it. So if I click on an order here and I want to do a return, I can open up this order and say, okay, on the right-hand side, I'm going to say, let's do a return. So I'm going to click on the return section here. Now it's going to ask, how many units do you want to return? Now, in this case, I only have one product on the order. There's only one line item, so there's only really one thing to show here. If I had multiple lines and multiple products, each of those line items would show in this list here, and then you'd be able to adjust how many of each of those you want to return. Let me try to find an older order here somewhere that maybe has some more line items, so you can see what that looks like. I'm not seeing any with multiple lines, so we'll just have to stick with the one line item one for now to do that process. So I'm going to click and say I want to return this hat. I'm going to return 1. So you can see you have the ability to increment and decrement. In this case, there's only 1 to return, so it's going to default by that. There's a slider here to say whether or not you want to restock the item. So if somebody's bringing you back an item, you as the store, whatever your store policy is well, am I going to take that item and restock it? In other words, am I going to put it back for sale at that location? Or maybe maybe it was damaged, or maybe there's something wrong with it, or who knows. You could also say, you know what, let's not restock it. And so you do have the ability here to decide whether or not you want to allow the stock to go back into the system, the inventory to go back in the system or not. Of course, that's going to be something that's going to be a business decision for each respective location, but you do have the ability here to do this. I'm going to keep it on and say, yep, let's go ahead and do a restock. So the first step is selecting what it is I want to return. I'm going to hit next, and now it's going to look at the system here and say, okay, I'm going to do a return for this particular product. It takes a look at it, and then it says, okay, well, we're allowing the return. The next step is going to be the refund. And so it's going to allow you to return to whatever the original payment was. So in this case, I used a credit card. So if I had paid with cash, it's going to return to cash. If you paid with credit card, like we did here, it's going to return to credit card. And you can't switch those, right? You can't say, oh, can I give them cash instead of a card or whatever? You can't do anything at all like that. So it's always going to return back to the original payment method that was on that particular system. So now you just can initiate the refund. If you want to add some kind of a note to explain what happened here, as didn't fit or something, you can put some kind of notes about why it's being returned. I'm not spelling that correctly. So this is just a nice way to put something to save along with it. We've got the note. I'm going to hit refund. And that's it. So now somebody brings in their hat. You take the merchandise back. You click the return, the refund, and now they're done. So you can print out this receipt. You can email them receipt. You can send them a text message with the information about the return. So you've got all of it here now saved in the system, and you can hit done. And this order now gets marked as refunded, right? So this has been returned and refunded. So if we close this order out, this order is refunded. So if I look at my master list of orders, you can see this 1145 has been refunded. Okay, that's it. Simple process. You can, go in and return something. Like Patrick had mentioned earlier, though, what happens if somebody wants to do an exchange? So let's kind of walk through that whole process again, kind of from top to bottom, so we know what it looks like, right? So I'm going to take an order here. I'm going to go to a polo shirt, and I think my polo shirt here doesn't have my sizes. I think I did a shirt with no sizes on this particular one here. So it's just kind of a regular polo shirt, but let's go ahead and check out for this shirt anyway. And so I'm going to place this order. Unfortunately, I don't have different sizes for this shirt, but let's say that, Patrick buys this shirt. He takes it home. He's like, you know what? I really wanted a hat. I'm going out golfing. I want to get a hat or something like that. So let's say he wants to actually exchange it for something completely different, which is one of the Sunrise hats instead of a shirt. So this order has been placed. He purchased his item. He takes it home. Now he comes back the next day and says, hey, you know what? I really want to switch out this for something else. Instead of having this shirt, it's cold over here. I want to get a hoodie instead. You can do exchanges. So kind of similarly here on the right-hand side where we said return, you can choose to do an exchange. So by clicking on exchanged, the order's not fulfilled to do the exchange yet. So you have to make sure that the order, this is what I mentioned earlier, make sure that the orders are all fulfilled. We have to make sure that the fulfilled order is ready to go. So I'm going to go on my admin real quick and do a quick fulfillment on that order to say that it's been fulfilled. Now, POS items are normally automatically set to be fulfilled by default, but I have that turned off at the moment, which is why it didn't fulfill it for me automatically. But I can very easily just fix that in the system so that way the order is fulfilled. So I went in, fulfilled that particular order here. Okay, so this order is now fulfilled. So I'm going to initiate an exchange. So much like the process that we just showed a moment ago, you're going to choose which item it is that you want. So in this case, there's only the one item on the order. So we want to exchange this and hit next. And now it's going to ask you, well, why? What's the reason for the exchange? You can use this drop-down menu and pick any of the pre-designated choices here. If you want to type in something else, you can always click other and put the reason as to why that exchange is happening here. I guess there's radon on it. I was trying to type reason, but let's try that again. You want to type too fast here. So that's the reason. Now there's a new step from that previous step that we just showed a moment ago. So now that you've initiated an exchange instead of a return, so now this new screen pops up and says, okay, well, what is it that they want? Now I only have 3 items here, so it's kind of easy to pick, but if you had a lot of items, you could scan, like maybe they brought a new item up to the counter. You see there's a little scan icon here. You can scan or you can search for another item. In this case, I don't have a lot of other items here, so I can say, you know what? He actually wanted a hoodie instead, so we're going to pick the hoodie. And now, of course, how many do you want? Do you want to have 1 or 2? We're just going to say 1 hoodie. And the next step here is now the calculations. So it's looking and saying, okay, well, you're returning this polo shirt that was, $12, and now there's this new item, which is like $30. There's actually a bit of a delta here. So you can see that it's asking and it's telling you, well, in order to complete this transaction, you need to actually collect $17 from the customer. So because they're choosing a more expensive item, if they were choosing a less expensive item, it would allow you to refund money back to the client. So this step here is kind of the math. This is the accounting step. It's smart enough to know what it is that needs to happen, and it does the math for you. So in this case, we're going to say, okay, great, no problem. We're going to do that exchange for you. It's going to click here, and then you'd have the ability to do the checkout and complete the checkout and collect that $17. So I'm just going to mark it as unpaid so we can just kind of go through this exchange step real quick. It's going to process the exchange, get everything going. You'll see that it's done. You have the ability to either email or text that particular order or print out a receipt, and you click done, and now that order has been fully exchanged. So now when you look at the order here, you can see that it's been refunded, fulfilled, and paid out. So that's how you can go into the system, do returns, do exchanges, and accomplish that for any of the products or any of the orders that you have inside of your system. So Patrick, I know this was a question that you were asking about doing the exchange. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Any other questions popping up around that before we wrap things up?
No other questions. Maybe just a quick call out to make. And obviously, there's a ton more here that we haven't been able to show you in the hour. Certainly, there's a lot of things that Shopify can do natively and would be able to support. But just like for those that are already familiar with Shopify from an e-commerce perspective, there is a incredibly robust app store of third-party apps and different tools to even further enhance the point of sale and retail functionality. So just something I like to mention because a lot of folks are familiar with the app store as it pertains to the online side of things, but it is a growing ecosystem for point of sale and extending that functionality as well.
Definitely a great call out. Absolutely. Okay, any other questions that we can answer? Otherwise, here we only got about 5 minutes left, so it's probably time for us to wrap up. Nothing else?
I think we can wrap up. No other questions have popped up in the chat.
Okay, great. Well, definitely want to thank everybody for joining us. As you can see, right, point of sale and Shopify is something we definitely work a lot on and have a lot of experience doing. So if anybody watching wants help with their store or their retail locations to set up Shopify point of sale, whether it's configuration or training or custom apps or anything at all like that, definitely reach out to us at our website. That's just sunriseintegration.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can hit us up right here on YouTube as well. There's links to our site. Always happy to talk to people and help them get set up with Shopify's point of sale. Also want to take this time to mention, as I said earlier, we're excited to kick off the year with another great point of sale series. And our next webinar is going to be coming up on February 27th. So we do one a month. And this next one is going to be about customizing your point of sale receipts. And this is, again, a big question that a lot of people ask, which is, when I actually print out those receipts, can I customize them? What can I do with it? So next time we'll talk about how you can put like QR codes on it. You can put logos, you can put information, right? Lots of great pertinent information that's needed in the system. So that way people can have the receipt and have the information on there. So that's next month on the 27th at 11 a.m. So if definitely mark your calendars, and we look forward to seeing you guys on that one. So that's about it for this time. Thank you guys all for your time. Patrick, thanks for your help. Really appreciate it. If you have any more questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us. But otherwise, we'll be seeing you next month for the POS Receipts webinar. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.